All right, so in the week 21 folder, intro to calculating wave speed, you pull open a document that looks like this. All right, so what we're going to be learning today is I'm going to be teaching you how to calculate the speed, frequency, or wavelength of a electromagnetic wave. This is important because we're going to be using this to calculate and determine what types of waves are flying around and the speed at which they're moving and things like that. So this triangle that I'm going to be showing you that you see at the top is something that you're going to be seeing a lot throughout my class. When we get to any sort of calculation, I normally have a triangle. So we do this like acceleration, speed, things like that. We're going to be using this triangle again, but it's just going to have different letters in it. So the way this works is by covering up what you're trying to figure out. So if you look at your Nearpod, you have waves obey the law of this formula. Wave speed is equal to the frequency times the wavelength. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a little bit on this slide to kind of highlight some things for you. So first up, you got wave speed is here. That's a V. So that's this one right here. Next up, you have frequency. Frequency is this F down here. It's measured in hertz, but its symbol is F for frequency. And finally, we have wavelength. The wavelength is measured in meters, and it's this part of the triangle down here in the right corner. Now, the wavelength is the unit for wavelength is meter, but the symbol is lambda. Basically an upside down Y. We don't use W because W already has another meaning. W means work. So it already in watts. So those are two other different meanings that W already is assigned to. So that's why we use a different letter in the Greek alphabet to symbolize the wavelength. The wavelength is just the distance between 2 points on a wave. That's it. So make sure you're using your notes to copy down the information over here on the right. You should be filling that in as you go for the blanks on your assignment. So try to figure out what the question is asking you to solve, then cover that up on the triangle. Cover that symbol on the triangle. If you're left with something that's going up and down, you have division. If you're left with the two letters that are left are going left and right, you have multiplication. So I'm gonna mark that on this graph down here, or the chart. So that should just kind of help you remember up and down is division and left and right is multiplication. All right. So if you look at your notes and you're watching my screen right now, all right, you don't have to highlight that on your screen, but this kind of, I'm just showing you what you need to see as far as the wave speed goes. So remember, it's wavelength times frequency. So if you double click on the picture, all right, it demonstrates for you how that works. So if the question is asking you, find the frequency of blah, you cover up frequency, and you are quite literally left with V over wavelength, speed over wavelength, speed divided by the wavelength. If the question's asking you for the speed, what is the speed of a wave that has a frequency of this and a wavelength of that? You're going to be covering up V. Now you have something that's moving. You have F and wavelength at the bottom. You're going to be multiplying the frequency times the wavelength. And then say if it asks you for the wavelength, it'll give you the other two parts. You have V over F. So when I say cover up what you're looking for, this is what I'm talking about. Cover up what you're looking for. It can be with your thumb on the computer screen. That can help too, because we can't physically write this down. Or if you're somebody that needs to write out the problems too, that really helps as well. Just write it down. That's totally fine with me. All right, does anyone need more time? All right, moving on. So this is the way that the purpose of the triangle is for me to be able to take the algebra steps out of math, out of science, I mean. Science is applied math. So unfortunately, if you're coming from math class, it's a little bit more of the same. So science is math in motion, which kind of makes it more fun, but you still need to be good at math. But what this does, this helps you simplify your math steps so that you spend less time doing the algebra involved and more time getting to the answer and getting to the solution that we're trying to find. All right. So what I'm going to show you next is called the WISE method. So in combination with the triangle that you just learned, all right, this WISE method will help you organize the information in the problem so that you can keep everything in the right place and find the answer easier. When I was a student, I always had trouble sorting through the word problems because they had a bunch of information in it. And I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to know what's what? How am I supposed to know what to use and when? So this will help you organize the information that's given to you in a problem. It'll help you sift through the nonsense in the problem and get straight to the good parts of it that you need to solve it. So if you look down at the bottom, like on the second part of your notes, after you finish copying this, you'll see what these WISE boxes look like on the exit ticket. So W stands for, what are you solving for? Oh, that's not gonna work. What are you solving for? I stands for information given in the problem. So that could be 20 feet, 10 miles per hour, 100 yards, 500 hertz. It's some sort of information in the problem. It's normally in the form of a number. So look for the numbers, look for units, look for things that stand out. So this will help you. This one's really important because you can get through all the nonsense that's in some problems, because you're going to find a lot of word problems you see on standardized tests and things like that. They have a lot of like filler information, stuff that's not important. This helps you cut through that. The setup and solve section is where you show your work. It's where you decide, hey, this is the formula I'm going to use based on the triangle. Then use that triangle to solve the problem. You're going to show your work there, but you're going to put your answer in the equals box where it says E. This helps me stay organized as I grade it. I can scroll through and just look at your answer box. So normally what I do is I look at first your answer box. If you got it right, I glance at the setup and solve. And if you're set up and solved right, that means by default you got the first two steps right. Because if you get the equals right, that means you solved for the right thing. And then that means you also use the correct information in there too. So that helps me grade it fast. If you get it wrong, it helps me see where you went wrong. I know to go back and look and let's see what they did in the setup box. Also, this helps you get a better grade because these are normally worth 4 points, 1 for each box. If you get the answer right, but you had the setup wrong, that means the information's wrong. And then what are you solving for is probably wrong. So you could get the right answer, but then miss the other ones. So it really tells me that you may have got the answer from somebody else, or you guessed. But if I see that you got what you're solving for right, you have the information correct, you set it up correctly, but on accident, you accidentally divided when you're supposed to multiply, or when you went to go divide, you put the numerator where the denominator should have went. Something like a simple calculating human error shouldn't cost you all 4 points. So you might get the equals part wrong, but then you still got the other 3 points right. So you get 3 out of 4, and that means you're going to get a better grade overall because you're getting points for small steps at a time instead of one big, did you get the whole right answer at the end? So that's why I really like this setup, and I really like how this works. So let's practice it. So on your screen, on your Nearpod, you should see a problem. So let me tell you, we're not going to calculate this one. I'm just going to show you how it works. So I'm going to show you the first one, and then the next one we're going to go through as a class. I'm going to call on you guys, and we're going to go through it as a group. Okay? So this is important because on the next section, when I turn you guys free to do the exit ticket, you're going to need to be able to do this by yourself, or at least attempt it. All right, I know you guys are still learning, so make sure that we're trying our best at this and you're following along, because if you're not paying attention right now, this won't make sense. It's going to take 3 times longer to learn than if you pay attention right now. So, first up, you should be watching my screen. So you should see the Y's boxes below. All right, so first question we ask ourselves, all right, what are we trying to find? What am I trying to find? Read the problem. A wave with a frequency of 60 hertz travels through steel with a wavelength of 85.5. What is the speed of the wave? All right, there it is. It smacks you in the face. You look for the question mark. That normally tells you what you're trying to find. It might be at the end. It might be at the beginning where it says solve for the speed if, and then give you the information. So you need to be carefully looking through the problem to see what it's trying to find, and you're looking for the speed of the wave. What is the speed of the wave? So that goes here. So I'm going to use my text box to draw that, and you can either put an uppercase V, or I'm sorry, lowercase v, or speed, or wave speed. All right, so that tells us what we're trying to find. So we move on to the next part. What is the information in the problem? What is the information that the problem gives us as a hint to solve? So start with the numbers. Let's highlight these numbers. All right, so the 860 says, oh, that's a frequency. So it says a frequency of. So you know frequency is 60. All right, and then 85 is a wavelength. It says wavelength of 85.5. So you can type that or write that if you want, whichever is easier for you. So you get to frequency equals 60 hertz, and then wavelength. Since there's no lambda key on the keyboard, you can't really do it. Wavelength is equal to 85.5 meters. If you want to write it, it would look like this. Oops, I did that wrong. Should be a 5, not an 8. So it'd be an upside down Y is how you write it. So now we're going to do the setup and solve portion. So with this setup and solve, you need to refer back to your triangle. All right, so I'm going to draw it at the top here. Very poorly, but hey. All right, so first we have V at the top of the triangle for speed. We have frequency on the bottom, and we have wavelength on the bottom. So cover up what you're trying to find. So look at your W box. W is right there. What are you trying to find? We're trying to find the speed. The letter that symbolizes speed is V. So I'm going to cover this up. That leaves me F and lambda for wavelength here at the bottom going side to side. Again, referring to your notes, that tells you you're going to multiply. So it's going to be F times wavelength. Frequency times wavelength. Now the beauty of this is now you simply plug in the numbers where you find the matching letter. So where you see F, you should put 60 there. Where you see lambda, wavelength, you should put 85.5 there. So your final equation should read 60 times 85.5. Throw that in your calculator. Answer goes in the E box, but we're not going to do that part. So that's pretty simple. So this is what I expect it to look like. If you're typing it in, you can type this stuff out. All right, you can just do frequency times wavelength. You can type it out. And then put the numbers below. But this is how I want you to do it. It organizes all the information you need into two very easy, or into some very, very easy to understand steps. All right, any questions so far? All right, so on a scale of 1 to 5 in the chat right now, 5 being you totally get this and understand it, and 1 being you don't understand anything. What would you rate your understanding so far? 1 to 5. 5 being good, 1 being bad. All right. I'm going to be posting this on YouTube later too, so you can go back and watch it when you need help. So let's go ahead and try the next one on our own, okay? So go ahead and try this one. So it says, I just want you, again, highlight the important information using the WISE method. So all I want you to do are fill in the box. We're not going to be answering this question. I just want you to show me that you understand how to use this method. So again, start with, what is the question asking me? All right, can anyone help me out? What's the question asking? Go ahead and put it in the chat or say it out loud. Good. The wavelength. It's looking for the wavelength. It says, what is the wavelength right there? So that's what you put here. Wavelength. Information given in the problem. What numbers do you see and where are they? What you have to be careful about in this one is that it says the wavelength, I'm sorry, not the wavelength, it says the frequency twice. So it says has a frequency of 20, and then it repeats that information again down there. So you only need that frequency one time. and then it also gives you the speed. For the setup and solve part, refer to your triangle. You're not going to be able to draw in every box, but I'm just doing this to make it simpler. So what symbol should I cover up? You should be trying to cover up what the question's asking you for. So look in that W box. Whatever you put in the W box is what gets covered up in the triangle. Good, good, good. Wavelength is correct. So that's this guy down here. I'm just going to scribble over him. So that literally leaves V on top of F. All right, so my V here was 331, and my F was 20. So 331 divided by 20. And then your answer would go there. Yep, V divided by F. Now, if you're at the part where you feel like you barely got this one, you're good. This takes practice to get. All right, it's like walking. Once you get one foot down, then you got the next one. You might stumble a little bit, but I promise you, if you keep trying this and you keep working at it, this will get very fast, because then it allows you to approach every question the same way. All right, the questions won't confuse you because they all go in the same procedure. Okay. So for the exit ticket, all right, I'm going to put it up on your screen for the Nearpod. I'm going to put it on your screen for the Nearpod here in a second, but then it's also on the notes. So in the notes at the bottom, here's your exit ticket. It's going to take you to a Khan Academy page. Everybody's problems might be different, but all I'm looking for is the step-by-step. All right, so watch my screen, because I'm going to show you how to do it. So down here at the bottom, number 1, W, what am I trying to find? What am I trying to find here? There we go. All right, it says, what is the frequency of the wave? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste that right there. What is the frequency? The information I'm given in this problem, it says a periodic wave has a wavelength of this. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it here. Go down. Has a speed of 4. Copy this, paste it there. If you get this nonsense, just kind of delete that part, just so you have V equals 4. Set up and solve. All right, so scroll up to my triangle. I'm looking for frequency, so if I cover up frequency, I have V over wavelength. Speed divided by wavelength. It's right here. V is literally on top of wavelength. So we go down to the bottom. What I expect you to do here is just type it in the best way you can. So V divided by, and then you can type out wavelength. Or if you want to copy the unit you had over here and paste it, that's fine too. Then 4 divided by 2. And my answer is 2. If you need the calculator, you can use that here. If you type 4 into a 4 divided by 2 into a calculator, it'll be a little bit sad for you, but it's okay, I understand. So then your answer should be 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Right? You type that in here, and then it'll tell you got it right. There are 4 questions to do, and do them exactly like I just did them here. And then make sure you have it on your exit ticket like that. When you're done, take a screenshot of your final screen that says you got blank out of blank right and post it at the bottom. That is simple. Okay, so like I said, if this was confusing or you're still lost, please come to my office hours. All right, I'll be glad to help. Please come to my office hours. Also, I'll be posting this video online on YouTube, and I'll add that link to this assignment here in a little bit.